a lot of times dividends are a bribe. Okay. I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of times dividends are a bribe. And what I mean by that is they're basically saying, hey, listen, if you hold this stock, we'll give you a profit share, right? And we'll do that. And that keeps people holding it forever, meaning that the chances of it falling significantly are lower. Now, why is that important? Well, because the C-level executives, most of the CEOs and C-level executives get paid based off of stock performance, right? So if a stock performs well or is, then they get bonuses. So it's great for them. And it's also a way of giving back to shareholders. Now, we love it because we're getting money, and they love it because it keeps us holding the stock.
Gotcha. So I noticed like some stocks will stop giving stop giving dividends. Is that because they're both below like a certain profit?
Yeah.
Like,
So if they don't have enough profit coming in, or they're expecting to be tightened up on profit, and they don't want to cut expenses, then what means is that they have to cut it because they just don't have the cash to give back. And if they do give the cash back, what happens is you keep the dividend. And people get the dividend, but the stock continues to fall because earnings show that they're down on revenue and they're bleeding out money. And then what happens is people start losing money, and then they don't want to hold because of the dividend anymore. So then they sell, and then it starts falling so much that people that are holding for the dividend no longer want it because there is no dividend. They sell, and then it pushes it down so far that it fucks it up. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll just suspend the dividend for a time to like, okay, if you don't want to be in it now, go away, whatever. But at least by not paying out this cash, we can put the capital on our books, and the share can hold its value for X amount of time until we're back through this, we pass through this tough time. Then we'll reinstate the divvy. That'll bring people back in.
Gotcha. I've heard you say a few times where you'll play a dividend stock up to its dividend payout.
Special divvies.
Yeah. Then like you sell beforehand because of the drive up on the price. Like
generally what happens is if it's a big enough special dividend, a lot of retail traders, because there's more retail money in the market now than there ever has. I mean, we're all retail traders, but you got to play trader psychology, right? So you think to yourself, all right, these guys don't understand how this works. A lot of them don't know that it's going to drop. I mean, I guarantee you, most people that are new to the market have no idea that stocks generally drop the same percentage as their dividend payout. Like, they just don't know that. And they're all surprised. They're like, oh, come in here and like, why did this stock drop? And everybody's like, it's divvy date. So they don't know that. So they think, oh, if I get in here, even if it's even, I'm going to get this X amount, 20%, 30% divvy, and it's going to be free money. And that's what they think. So then they buy into the stock. And enough people do that, it drives the stock up, right? A lot of times you'll see as much as whatever that special divvy is drive up in the stock, in the equity price before the divvy pays out. Now, the reason that that's so important is if you're in it for the divvy, fuck that. Get in, run it up, sell it the day before to somebody who wants to get in last minute, keep that money. Then what happens is the stock drops by that amount of the divvy, which you've already covered, and then you have two options. Buy the dip and ride the equity back up, or sit on the sidelines and let somebody else deal with it because you already covered your money, right? Now look at Zim, for example. A lot of people in this community were so hyped up because everybody was playing Zim, everybody was showing their gains, everybody was making money, everybody FOMO'd in, and instead of selling, they got their $17 divvy, which is great, which they're going to get taxed on, or they, whatever they did with it. And then the 3 days later or the next week, the report comes out that 8 days in a row, shipping prices have decreased. Zim gets absolutely destroyed. So now not only they got their $17 divvy, but they got to pay taxes on it. They lost 17% in the equity value plus another 20% on the bad news. And now they're bag holding.
Yeah, I saw that it reached, almost hit, it did hit 90, and now it's down to almost 55 or whatever, somewhere in there. I've been watching it. I want to get into it. I just don't know when it's going to stop dropping. It looks like it's been consolidating the last couple days.
I mean, shipping's still strong, especially with China's lockdown right now. I think there's a secondary, if China's lockdown lasts to the end of the month, I think there's a secondary run for shipping companies because they're going to be able to start charging again. But they've got so much pressure on them. Not only do they have competition, but they're having a bunch of these big companies that are saying, fuck you, we'll buy our own ships. They're having to pay more through Suez Canal. We're seeing UPS just got upgraded 2 days in a row. They're starting to get their logistics back in line for shipping and stuff because the backlog that they had from the holiday season is over. So now they're able to get more stuff out there. There was one that we talked about in the morning call last week, I believe. That's a new shipping company that just did a huge partnership. I'd have to go back and look at it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of it reminds me of FRO a few years ago.
Gotcha. Like, so lately I have most of, like, maybe I think I have about 80% of all my money in Divi stocks, and then I'm playing with about
Welcome,
20% of
Lincrump, to
it
the Bear
in
Gang.
options, but I've been
Howdy,
shorting
peeps.
the market because it just
Nothing wrong with
I
that,
just don't.
man. Listen, we're not. This isn't a you versus me versus them kind of thing. If you see, I think that shorting this market is not a bad idea in a lot of ways, especially if you're at least hedging to the upside. Because think of all the data that comes out. The fact that the market hasn't continued to pull back even more is in my opinion, just because people, like I said, there's still that Tina thing where there's no other option. People have nowhere else to put their money except equities right now. So I don't see, it's insane that it's held up this much.
I mean, I'm just, grabbing any dips and stuff like that and just selling on any news and whatnot. Appreciate that.
It's tough to sit back and watch everybody else post these massive gains of like $10,000 or $5,000 or 1,000% or 300% and not get FOMO and want to go in. But from experience, I can tell you, those are the first people to disappear because there's no such thing as just walking away. Everybody gives it back. The house always wins. So, you look into your portfolio and you're like, man, I'm only up 0.5% or 1% or this. But you know something? 5 years from now, you'll still be going up and they'll be gone. Everyone who tries to get rich quick ends up broke quick. It's just how it is.
Yep, cock.
Fucking dickhead. Got me. All right. That was our only caller today.